to see this.
Come back, the GOP scrambling for every last vote to push through its health care bill, its health care Hail Mary. But what's really in this bill, and what will it mean for you? Plus, we're going to tell you what former President Obama is saying about the bill. Senate Republicans' last-ditch effort to repeal and replace Obamacare picking up support tonight from President Trump, but one key Republican, Susan Collins of Maine, not on board yet.
I'm going to wait till the CBO analysis comes out before making a final decision. I expect that analysis will be released on Monday. I'm disappointed to hear, however, that it's going to be only a partial analysis that will not include the impact on coverage, and that is disturbing to me.
Joining me now, Senate contributor Jason Kander, former Missouri Secretary of State, and senior economics analyst Stephen Moore, former senior economic advisor for the Trump campaign. So here we go again. I thought it was in the last of these conversations, and here it is again. So, Steve, it doesn't look like we're going to get a full CBO score before the bill goes up for a vote. How can members of Congress really understand the full impacts of this bill without it? Susan Collins says she's waiting, but she's disappointed that most of the coverage losses or what have you would not be in this report.
Well, there will be a score on what the budget cost is, but some of the other elements, for example, on coverage, they may not get that done on time. But I think, look, the big point here is the object, because I've been watching your show all night tonight, Don, and your previous discussions on this. And, when you talk about what states are going to win and what states are going to lose, and does this require, coverage for the pre-existing conditions and so on, the whole point, I just want your viewers to understand, the point of this is try to replicate in healthcare reform what we did so successfully under Bill Clinton, a Democratic president, and a Republican Congress in the mid-90s with welfare reform, where essentially we said, look, we can't handle welfare at the federal level. It's exploding costs. We've got, more and more people on welfare. We turned it back to the states. We let every one of the 50 states design their own programs. It was one of the greatest success stories in 50 years. It was a bipartisan
here's
success.
The difference. Not everyone needs welfare. Everyone needs health care.
Well, yeah, but look, the point is what states were able to do. And by the way, all of the claims that we're hearing from some of my liberal friends, oh, my God, everybody's going to lose their health care. And, these were the kinds of claims that were made on welfare reform. I mean, if you look back at what a lot of liberals say, oh, my God, we're going to have blood in the streets and all these people are going to lose their welfare benefits and they're going to starve in the streets. And none of that happened. In fact, what happened is we moved 50% of the people off of welfare into jobs. So the point I'm making is we've tried this kind of approach before in federalism, and it's worked pretty well. Why not try it in health care?
So my question is then why now then? I mean, Republicans had so many years to come up with a fix, and now they're coming up with a Democratic fix to a health care plan that was pretty much a Republican plan to begin with. This was Romney Care. And so now you want to fix it with a Bill Clinton plan? I mean,
I want to use federalism and allow the states to experiment. And by the way, I think a lot of the governors will tell you, look, this will actually save money and potentially increase coverage because a lot of these governors say, you give us the flexibility, we can find ways to reduce costs and cover more people.
All right. A lot of governors are speaking out against it. Jason, I'll let you respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the majority of Republican governors are against it. Well, look, Steve's doing an admirable job of not talking about the bill. And the reason he's doing that is because nobody is excited about the bill, because it's a health care bill that causes fewer people to have health care. That just seems like a really bad idea.
Well, why do you say fewer people are going to have health care? I mean, you turn this money over to the states, and they're going to find ways to provide coverage. Why would Texas or Florida, these other states, drop people from health insurance?
Because it's a fact. Everybody knows it's a fact. The reason that the CBO is not going to come out, the reason they're going to try and act, among many other reasons, on this before the CBO comes out with the full report, which, as you said, would include coverage, is because they know that it's going to be really bad news for the bill. What they learned from this last debacle on Trump care was not that you should cover more people, was not that you should be more generous, more compassionate. It was that you should employ more secrecy. They're just going to employ more secrecy and try and move faster through the process. process to get this done. Folks don't want this. I just think they should take the hint. Nobody's excited about this bill. The vast majority of Americans, the vast majority of people influential in the healthcare space, insurance companies, all sorts of folks are stepping forward and saying that this is a bad idea. Chris Christie, who I'm pretty sure at this point would do just about anything that President Trump asked him to do, said today that he's against this bill. Nobody likes this bill. They should just take the hint and not do this.
I want you guys to take a look at this
when you say
map.
nobody
Let me
wants
get
this
up
bill.
just for time, and you can respond.
Yeah.
This is to take a look at this map. Some
Right.
states would make out better than others under this
Right.
bill because it would sharply reduce federal spending on health care, on health insurance, and cause 34 states to lose such funding. States with relatively low medical costs, skimpy Medicaid benefits, and no program expansion would gain money, and states with higher price medicine and generous benefits for their low-income residents, such as California and New York, would lose billions of dollars. Here's the thing. They're taking money from the blue states that took Obamacare money and giving it to the red states that didn't want Obamacare money.
Well, wait a minute. If you look at that map, Don, what it's really showing is that the wealthier states, the states with higher per capita income, states like New York and Connecticut and California are going to lose money relatively, and the poorer states that have more poor people are going to get more money. But look, I think again you're missing the point. If these states, we've had a couple of experiments where we allowed states to have these block grants, where we basically said, here's your set amount of money, go out and find ways to provide coverage for people and save money. Rhode Island did this, and a couple of things Rhode Island did, Don, that just to give an example, that states actually can save money. For example, with Medicaid, they started putting very small co-payments on if you went to the emergency room and things like that. It saved huge amounts of money for the state, and they could provide expanded coverage. Another one, they allowed the state of Rhode Island to put senior citizens, because a lot of people on Medicaid are seniors, to take them out of the nursing homes and give them home care, which, by the way, the seniors wanted. They wanted to be in home care, not in the nursing homes, and it saved money. So there are ways that states can find to save money and make the system more efficient, reduce costs, and cover more people. I just believe that to be the case.
So let me get this straight. You want to provide more flexibility to the states by making them do by making them do some stuff that currently Rhode Island has the flexibility to do. First of all, let me just
no. We're not making the states do anything. I mean, look, the only regulations are the ones under Obamacare.
Cover people, but
I do.
Yeah, right. You want to create flexibility to kick people off health insurance. I'm not saying
No,
like
no,
you're
no,
a bad
no.
person.
Why
like
do
you're
you
clearly
assume?
not, but
Wait,
that's a
why
bad
do you
idea.
assume? Why do
Because
you
I'm
assume
from a
that
state that didn't expand Medicaid. That's
Yeah,
why.
but you know what?
Because
You're
a whole
also
lot
from
of
a
states decided not to
That's
actually
true.
provide health insurance.
But
so
you're
there's
also
empirical evidence that happens.
But you're also from a state, by the way, where Obamacare premiums are going up 25, 30, or 40%. Why would you want to keep that system in place? Because people can't afford the health care in Missouri.
Let him answer.
I would like the president to, first, stop trying to undermine that system, stop trying to make that happen. Second, the president of the United States, the previous one, gave a speech just today where he said, you know what? There are some things that could be done. He said this many times. There are some things that could be done to improve this. But look,
I believe that too.
Again, yeah, I think everybody, including its namesake, President Obama. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is they're saying, first of all, I mean, Senator Grassley said that there's probably 10 reasons why this shouldn't even be considered, but it's a campaign promise, so they got to be for it. You know what? Campaign promises don't actually provide health insurance.
It is true that we had a referendum in the election to get rid of Obamacare. I mean, that was the central promise Republicans made.
Thank you.
And replace it
And
with something
they have to
terrific.
deliver on that promise.
Thank you. But they don't have to rush it through. This is healthcare. We're talking about people's lives. It doesn't have to. There's not like a goalpost and a time clock that runs out. Coming up, First Lady Melania Trump made a speech today at the UN that had some people scratching their heads. We'll tell you why. That's next. First Lady Melania Trump making a speech at the UN luncheon today condemning bullying. Here to discuss, CNN political commentator Margaret Hoover, a former White House staffer for George W. Bush, political contributor Hillary Rosen, and political commentator Scott Jennings, a former special assistant to George W. Bush. Did you guys work together?
We did.
Wow.
Yeah.
We did. Reunited. Good.
Totally.
Okay, so listen, the First Lady Melania Trump made a speech today at the UN condemning, of all things, bullying, specifically cyberbullying. Let's listen to some of her remarks.
By our own example, we must teach children to be good stewards of the world they will inherit. We must remember that they are watching and listening. So we must never miss an opportunity to teach lives many ethical lessons along the way. As adults, we are not merely responsible, we are accountable.
I mean, listen, can we just be honest? Scott, are you with me? Because
we're always honest.
Does anyone find this statement ironic? I mean, should we remind her that she's who her husband is? This is some of his tweets. Mitt Romney, who was one of the dumbest and worst candidates in history of the Republican politics, is now pushing me on tax returns. Dope! Exclamation point. How can a dummy dope like Harry Hurt, who wrote a failed book about me but doesn't know me or anything about me, be on TV discussing Trump? Word is that crying Glenn Beck left the GOP and doesn't have the right to vote in a Republican primary. Dumb as a rock.
And this week, of course, he tweeted him hitting Hillary Clinton in the head with a golf ball. I mean, let's just talk about cyberbullying.
Look, Scott and I, you mentioned, worked in the White House for George W. Bush. Stepped on or could be conflated or confused or frankly be controversial. And the best advice for a first lady is to pick issues that have nothing to do with your husband's agenda and are not ironic, not controversial. And this is so ill-advised.
Completely contradicted by her husband's own behavior. Not that this isn't a noble cause, but isn't someone advising her, like, maybe this is one you should stay away from, Scott?
I think increasingly we've seen first ladies step out on their own and pursue their own agenda that is separate from their husband's agenda. Look, Michelle Obama was one of the most outspoken first ladies on certain policy issues, and she left office with her husband as one of the most popular first ladies we've ever had.
She didn't really get involved
on
policy issues.
She actually,
healthy eating,
she actually stayed away from
getting out of food deserts. I mean,
she was very outspoken on childhood obesity and nutrition, which are very important things.
But she did that on obesity and nutrition, and President Obama was one of the fittest people to take office as president of the United States. I could see if her husband was unfit, then we would be saying, well, maybe she should look closer to. I'm just saying
there's something that makes no sense, really, which is that she's been talking about this for several months now, bullying, right? And like everybody has said how dumb this is, that she could bring so much more to the table, right? That she could pick a ton of other issues that would make sense. I
would say ill-advised. Let's just put it that way. But I have to get to the break.
It's just politically dumb because she gets nowhere on it.
This becomes a story.
Exactly.
It doesn't advance her as first lady.
I'm not saying, like I said, it's a noble cause, and she should be doing those.
I'm not saying she's dumb.
But her own president, her own husband is contradicting her.
Yeah, that's right. And let me be clear.
I got to take a break.
I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm saying this is a dumb issue for her to do.
We'll be right back. What do you make of it?
I'll just say one quick thing. If you out there do not know what to think of Graham Cassidy, Jimmy Kimmel is actually speaking facts. Listen to Jimmy Kimmel's monologue.
Do you think it'll pass?
Look, every day this goes on, the harder and harder it comes to pass. You're going to need, you can't spare any votes. You need McCain, you need Shelley Moore Capito, you need 2 Alaska senators and Susan Collins. 3 of those 5 have to do it. I don't know how.
And you don't want to take on Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, do you think that...
Well, I mean, but Donald Trump certainly could.
These Republican governors are probably going to end up making the difference one way or the other.
Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it has a great chance to pass. And again, we're back here at the place where if this bill passes the Senate, it does not become law immediately. Obviously, this is a much different bill than passed the House. It would have to go back to the House. They'll have to reconcile differences. So there's still a long way to go before we see major changes in the health law. The one thing this does do, it sends power back to the states, and a lot of Republicans believe in the principle of federalism.
Got to run.
And so that's a major step forward in the eyes of a lot of conservatives.
You can say it in half a second.
I say Donald Trump's got to get in on it, Scott, because you can't get it done with the Congress. The president's got to lead.
Look at his Twitter feed tonight. He's all over it.
Thanks for watching.